Welcome to the Pokemon Show. I'm your host, Matt, aka Mathras, aka Diggletdreams, aka the Diglett of your dreams. Okay, let's start the show. Our main story today is the Hydraigon suspect test, which has just started in UU. As with every time Smogon suspect tests a Pokemon, people get pissed off. I really understand why, because nobody's forcing anyone to play by Smogon's rules. You can play on Wi-Fi, there's Pokemon Online, and there's a great one right here. Speaking of, I might actually want to try Pokemon Online again, because in their equivalent of RU, which they call LU, Arcanine just dropped, and that sounds like a lot of fun, so I might have to try that out. So they're suspect testing Hydraigon in UU. What this means is that the Smogon community has decided that with the current underused metagame, Hydraigon might be affecting the meta in an unhealthy way. This test will be a way for people to determine if it deserves to be banned from the UU metagame. Let's talk about the facts. Hydraigon has always been a top-tier UU Pokemon. Access to strong stabs such as Draco Meteor and Dark Pulse, as well as great coverage moves as in Iron Tail and Flash Cannon, Fire Blast, Super Power, and Earth Power, as well as utility with Roost, Taunt, and U-Turn. Not to mention really decent bulk for a generally offensive Pokemon. I've always made this thing a great pick. What worries people the most is that this Pokemon is extremely adaptable. It can fit on pretty much any team and work well against pretty much any team. It has good enough speed to take on an offensive team, and as well as Taunt and U-Turn to help it take on bulky checks, as well as Stall Break and make it really difficult to switch into. The most important thing to remember when talking about the suspect test is that Hydraigon is not in a vacuum. This is not a 1v1 situation. Every single Hydraigon is going to have 5 other teammates to support it. Just because Conkeldurr and Sylveon tank hits and dish it back doesn't mean it's difficult for Hydraigon to simply click U-turn and switch into the powerful counter to your Hydraigon counter. The problem with Hydraigon is a defensive wall that relies on recovery moves like Wish or Soft Boiled or Roost, gets crippled by Taunt, Aromatisse, and an offensive counter can be checked by any of the other 5 Pokemon on Hydraigon's team, especially when Hydraigon is comfortable enough to just click U-turn and doesn't even have to pull a switch. Now, I do not claim to be an expert on the subject of suspect tests and the ladder in general. I play a lot of Pokemon Showdown, but I don't play enough to ever have voted in a suspect test, so I can't say that I'm qualified on the subject. That's why I'm just trying to give you as many facts as I can and trying to keep my opinion as out of it as possible. The hard truth about Hydraigon is that unless you know the moveset, a well-played Hydraigon is tough to play around. Since there's no way to find out without one of your Pokemon being in the line of fire, I can understand why this Pokemon is being suspected. When I originally heard about the suspect test, I was a little surprised because Hydraigon's been such a staple throughout all of UU. It was tested very early on in X and Y, I believe. It was either early X and Y or early ORS, but it did remain in UU. So it has been tested before and it did not get banned, and they're testing it again. So maybe it won't get banned, maybe it won't get banned, I don't know. I just said the same thing twice. But after looking into the facts of the situation, I'm starting to understand why it at least got suspected. I'm not quite sure whether it will get banned or not, but I can understand why it's being at least tested. One other thing that I should mention, the ladder for the test does not include Hydraigon. This is different from the average suspect ladder, which lets you use the Pokemon in question, but since Hydraigon has been such a large part of the UU meta for such a long time, it makes sense to test out how the meta feels without it. This is not a suspect test for the average ladder player like myself. This is for the people who know UU, who have been playing UU consistently throughout XY and ORS. They are the ones who are qualified to notice the difference when Hydraigon is gone from the tier. I'd love to hear your opinions on this. Do you think Hydraigon is suspect worthy? Not ban worthy per se, just worthy of at least a test. Why or why not? Leave your answer in the comment section down below. Okay, let's move on to something a little less divisive. The new Sun and Moon information. Let's start with the new version exclusive Pokemon, Passimian and Oranguru. Not sure how to say that one yet. Both of these Pokemon seem very VGC driven, which makes sense since that is the official competitive format for Nintendo, but I am a singles player, so I don't really have much to add there. Hasemian's new ability Receiver, which lets it take the ability of a fallen comrade, is very interesting. They showed it in the trailer working in a doubles match. We're not yet sure if it works in singles. For example, if it works like Healing Wish, where the Pokemon that it replaces in battle gives its ability to it. I would be much more interested in that ability if that was the case, if it had some kind of effect on singles battle. But that's just my personal opinion because I am not a doubles player, I'm a singles player. Singles player! Aside from the competitive usage, I really like the designs. They're really good simian type Pokemon. They are pretty simple, but they work. I'll tell you the most common nicknames for both of these things right now. Zaboomafoo and Harambe. Let's see if I'm right. Now let's talk about Lycanroc. I've been a fan of Rockruff from the beginning. It's an adorable puppy with rock typing. What's not to like? I can't wait to have this little guy at my side. Now before we talk about the evolution and what that could possibly mean for other evolutions, I want to talk about the new move introduced with the midday Lycanroc form, Accelerock, which makes me think of Excelgor. I think they should give this move to Excelgor. This move, Accelerock, is a priority type, physical rock type move. At least I'm pretty sure it's physical. This is something that my friend Quinlan Ding has been asking for a long time. This is pretty huge for the rock type in general. For some reason, every physical rock type move has a chance to miss. I can only hope that Accelerock is going to be 100% accurate, but if I'm going by the pattern that Gamefreak has set, not a very good possibility. Aside from that, midday Lycanroc is actually looking really strong in the competitive meta. Priority rock type stab plus sand rush to give it double speed in the sand, as well as sand also boosting in special defense. I think it's going to be a serious threat in the competitive meta. Can't say the same for the midnight form though. No interesting abilities and a lore behind the move counter. There's no real guarantee that this Pokemon will live a hit and be able to counter that hit. The meta will just be Focus Sash, I guess. See, if they gave it an ability like Sturdy, that would make a lot more sense. It still wouldn't be that great, but it would make sense because it can live any one hit and counter. But I don't know. We'll see what they do. The other interesting thing revealed, though, is how Rockruff evolves into Lycanroc. Midday Lycanroc is exclusive to Pokemon Sun, while Midnight is exclusive to Pokemon Moon. It says specifically that the power from each version's legendary Pokemon has an effect on Rockruff's evolution. This could have large impacts on the games as a whole. How many things will each legendary affect? Will Alolan Exeggutor be exclusive to Pokemon Sun because of the solar power that Solgaleo is exuding? Is this a secret we've been waiting for about the starter evolutions? Will each version have a different evolutionary line for the starters? This would be so off the books for the Pokemon games. I always encourage new and groundbreaking ideas because that's the only way to improve. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it's not going to get exciting. People are going to lose interest. I say go for it, Game Freak. Give us version exclusive starter evolutions. Give us 2 possible outcomes for the same choice. This would make each playthrough just a little bit more unique and personal. And that's what the Pokemon games have always been about. Plus, if Sun and Moon are the same worlds but changed by the power of legendary Pokemon, I think that could make for a really interesting story. We'll have to wait and see what Game Freak does with it though. I'm really interested to see what they do. And that brings us to the replay of the day. Let me just slowly fade into that. Today's replay shows off the power of the Charizard Y Banded Tyranitar core and how to recognize the win condition and then how to set the field for that win condition. As is evident throughout the early and mid game, my team struggles with my opponent's Choice Scarred Landorus T. I have difficulty switching in any of my Pokemon and I rarely get the opportunity to deal damage. But later in the game, around turn 15, I realized what I needed to do. I needed to predict him to U-turn so that my Charizard could start punching holes. Sure enough, with my Charizard in on the Landorus, the switch was very obvious, which is exactly why I decided to stay in. This got me significant damage on his Tornadus as well as a KO on the Excadrill. But the key was forcing his Landorus to stay in, lock itself into Stone Edge, KO my Charizard, and allow me to safely bring in my Tyranitar and Pursuit Trap him. This is exactly the moment I was waiting for. Now I could finish the game, Landorus is forced to switch out, and I am able to reveal the Choice Banded Pursuit, leaving the Landorus in range of my Jirachi. From here on out, my Jirachi is able to clean up with a little tiny flinch at the end to rub it in. And now, my hat goes off to the Pokemon Cypher 2016. I've been pretty hyped for the newest Cypher ever since I found the 2013 Cypher. So when it finally arrived, I could hardly believe it. Now let's be honest here. It's pretty easy to tell who's on the Cypher because they can rap, and who's on the Cypher because they're just cool people. I won't say any names, I'll just leave it at that. While some of the verses were definitely a little lackluster, the Cypher overall is fantastic. The biggest improvement I noticed was the music. In 2013, the music was mostly just repetitive beats, but here, the music is really memorable. It actually has an effect on the whole experience. So props to whoever was involved in that. I know Matt Houston did a lot of the mixing and stuff, but I think there was other people in there like Razy K. That's the only other one I remember, but they're all in the credits of the Cypher, so definitely check that out. Main reason I take off my hat today though is because I am grateful to be reminded that there are great people out there in the Pokemon community. Sometimes it can get really toxic here in the Pokemon world, which is kind of weird because it is just Pokemon after all. So it is good to know that people can still get together and make such a passion project like the Pokemon Cypher. Who would have thought that there's just a whole community out there of people that are going to be hardcore rapping about Pokemon and people are going to love it. So hats off to Shofu and everyone else involved with the Pokemon Cypher. Keep doing what you're doing. Now where's the Cypher 2019 Kickstarter? Shut up and take my money. Thanks for watching the Pokemon Show. If you enjoyed today's show, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and leave a comment down below because your support does not go unnoticed. I'll see you next time. Keep dreaming.